All right, we have everybody joining in here today. I'm going to give us a few seconds here to let people join us virtually from our waiting room. Thank you all so much for joining today. We are super excited about this topic and so excited to have you here. Looks like we've got, a good portion of our audience in the webinar at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. First, I want to, again, thank you all for joining us. This topic, ratings and reviews, is something that is so critical for all builders in 2021. We just did another webinar where we highlighted, using ratings and reviews as one of the core strategies you should embrace for the new year. So hopefully some of you were on that and now you're here to learn even more. And we've got Melissa Mormon, who's our CXO and co-founder here at BDX, to talk about this topic today. It's near and dear to her heart. She's worked with so many builders as they've embraced this program, and she's got some great tidbits to share today. Before we hand it over to her, though, and get started, quick housekeeping items. We are recording the session, so we'll make that recording available to all of you so you can watch it again, share it with colleagues, etc. And we also have a couple ways for you to communicate with us here. I'm going to be moderating your questions and the chat, so you can use the chat box to kind of keep a dialogue going and kind of banter back and forth. And if you have a really formal question you want to put in the Q&A box, you also have that option there, but I'll be watching both. So we like to keep this really interactive. We hope that we've gathered your questions. That's the point of this webinar. We want to answer them all throughout, but just in case, you have some ways to ask even more. So Melissa, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you take it from here.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, Eleanor. Just a little warning, I'm sitting here in our BHI BDX office in our atrium, so running a huge risk that somebody's going to come banging in and make a bunch of noise, but it's probably somebody you work with and know here at BDX. So, I heard Shalissa over there working. Most of our employees are working remotely, but some of us do come in at different intervals. So Shalissa may just come pop over and say hi. So anyway, I do apologize in advance, a little risky, but thought it'd be a little bit more fun to do it here from our offices, especially for those of you who've been here and kind of recognize the place. And hopefully soon we'll all be getting back together in person. All right, so first of all, I want to thank our sponsor of today's webinar, and that is Heat and Glow, also known as Hearth and Home. They are doing really well through the pandemic. So, again, just like our builders, and I think it's because everybody's so focused on the home, and it's part of health and wellness. It relieves stress. Outdoor living spaces are so critical. So really happy for them. But they're just a great partner in terms of helping us with educational tidbits and helping us be aware of what is top of mind for consumers. So thank you to all the folks there. So before we jump into TrustBuilder, I always like to sneak in a little update for you guys. So it's a little bit of a bonus in terms of what we're seeing since we're kind of at the epicenter here from a national new homes consumer search index, which is a mouthful. So we constantly, are monitoring what's happening with general search with regard to new homes out there in Google and other places. And as I'm sure all of you do too, the day after Christmas is when the new home season starts. So we're all kind of watching those numbers. It's like a stock ticker through the day. And, what was interesting is that consumer search is up 9% in that first new home selling week compared to the same week last year. So, again, a positive trend, not hugely crazy, but, certainly going in the right direction. We like up more than we do down. What's super exciting, and I do want to share with you guys, is while Google traffic is up, 9% in general, people searching for new homes, our share of voice has gone through the roof, which is really great for builders because we can snag that traffic and make sure they're exposed to new home content and get them over to you. So from our perspective, what we saw in that first week is that our organic traffic was up 108%, which is absolutely crazy. And as we all know, that's the best traffic. Total traffic up 43%. And what's most important, what you guys really care about, is leads and calls were up 53% year over year. So we had a crazy year last year. We had record leads and connections, and you guys had record sales. And as we go into this year, it's continuing to look super positive. So just bucking that trend, if you will, compared to Google only being up 9%. So that's our job, is to go out there, snag them for the new home channel, snag them so they don't get tainted with used properties and all that fun stuff. So just want to share that with you guys. Most of you list with us, and some good news, and I'm sure you're seeing that in the results that we're sending over to you. Also want to just share, we watch market trends, we stay plugged in, we talk to our builders, what's top of mind, right? And these are the things that are kind of, even though we're in this crazy boom time and sales are amazing, there are things keeping up our CEOs at night. And we boiled it down to, there's many, many things, of course, but kind of 4 things out there in the market is that people are expecting, the experts are expecting foreclosures to increase. So as foreclosure homes come back into the market, that applies pressure to us in the new home space. While we're all super excited about the vaccine, unless you're anti-vaccine, but most of us are excited about the vaccine, and we really think that's going to free up our lives, free up people to be out and about. It may not have a positive impact on the new home market, because once the vaccine becomes more pervasive and people are more comfortable, you're going to see a pent-up supply of used homes that are going to flood the market. So again, that will kind of put pressure on us. We've had I wouldn't say we've had the market to ourselves, but certainly new homes have done really well, because new homes are a little bit easier to see and show and buy and market than certainly used homes. And we saw a lot of used homes listings pull off the market last spring. We've been enjoying increased prices, which is awesome. But as we raise prices, there is a point where the available market shrinks, right? There is a point where not everybody is willing to pay those prices. So what's going to happen, not necessarily that we should lower the prices or, not continue on that strategy, but we are going to need more leads because it will be harder to convert. That available pool will just be a little bit smaller. And then the last point is just mortgage rates have stopped falling. So again, that impacts affordability, because you can raise prices as mortgage rates are coming down because people can afford it. And that's really what they care about, is affordability. What's that monthly payment? So while we're all enjoying great success, we had an amazing last year and we hope that continues this year, there are some dynamics that are out there that would indicate don't take your gas off the marketing pedal. You certainly don't have to be spending as much as perhaps you will, but keep in mind today's marketing is sales for 6 to 9 to 12 months, and sometimes 2 years from now. So those are just things we like to share since we have you all together and we have these insights and we want to tell people. So we want to share that with you. Hopefully that is useful. So today we are here to talk about TrustBuilder, which is the industry's review program. So we're taking a little bit different approach. We're going to do a highlight speed round. So, rather than taking 45 minutes to take you through the highlights and give you a very thorough doctorate on reviews, we're going to do a speed round. We know you all have ADD. We know you're super busy. So we'll do a speed round through that. And then we're going to go ahead and just hit between the eyes the most common questions and concerns, fears that we hear about ratings and reviews. So we're just going to go ahead and put them out there so that if you're thinking them, you don't have to ask it. We're just going to hit it. And you may not have thought them, but as you go back in your company, somebody else will have these questions, no doubt. Then we'll just quickly talk about how you get started. And then if there are any questions left that we didn't cover, we will play Stump the Chump, and I will do my best to answer any remaining questions. So let's dive right in and get going here. So the highlight speed round, I'm going to talk about consumers and where they're at, which is super important. I'll talk about you are not alone, why the industry came together, who's using TrustBuilder, and then just beyond, obviously, New Home Source, how builders are benefiting as well. So first of all, it is game over. If you're thinking that you're just not going to go into this review game, you're already in it. So you really have to accept that the strategy of kind of avoiding it is just not going to happen, just not going to serve you well. So it is the participation economy. Consumers need a way to express themselves in this new digital world. And believe me, they are expressing themselves. And if you don't give them a great way to express themselves, they will find all kinds of creative ways to express themselves. And that's always been the case, right? From the day that we started building houses way back when. But now with the digital world, it's a lot easier for them to find places to express themselves. So they are going to express themselves, and they want to hear from each other as well. So 85 to 90% of shoppers use ratings and reviews. And as you go into younger and younger generations, and millennials are now our biggest, sector, they especially really rely on reviews, almost to a fault. They at times will trust reviews more than they will their own opinion or even a best friend's opinion. They really, really look to reviews to give them good data on different products that they're going to engage in. And you are not alone. Every home builder struggles with reviews. So if you look at your reviews and you go, oh my God, this is really, really not good. Everybody struggles with reviews. It is pervasive. So I like to share this slide because it's kind of an anonymous analysis that we did as we were embarking on the review journey, which was not a short, sweet, simple journey to get to. Let me tell you, we had some brave builders work with us on that. But if you just imagine this wheel, this is a sampling of 10 builders within the top 20. So I'm not going to tell you who's who. And then what you'll see down kind of the vertical axis, just imagine these are search results. So if you typed in home builder, Billy Bob home builder reviews, here's what you would get. So regardless of what brand you would type in, and we've color coded it for you so you can kind of see at a glance. So this first builder, for example, the number one thing that came up was YouTube videos. Not bad, right? Not probably not bad, but not necessarily reviews. If a consumer is looking for reviews, that's not what they're expecting to see. So it doesn't really hurt you, but doesn't help you. Then what you'll see is the next three results are consumer affairs, and then there was one on Zillow, all negative, right? So we've color coded it negative. It was a low star, started off with a really negative comment, showed up in the search results. Then the next two were Glassdoor. May not hurt you. Now, if you have bad Glassdoor reviews, that's a different issue, but that may impact the consumer. But in general, that's not what a consumer is looking for. And then the last four on that first one were all negative as well. So we kind of just did this anonymously. And what you can see is the green is somewhat positive, right? The red is really bad, and then the gray is just kind of neutral. And you can see pretty much everybody has very, very similar results. And if you are progressive, you're watching your brand and you're doing your own search to see what your brand is. Now make sure you're doing it incognito, because if you're not doing it incognito, you're not seeing what the general consumer population would see. But so don't feel bad, right? I mean, you should feel bad, you should be angry, you should not like what you see, but you are not alone. And the other part of the challenge is that builders were actually being asked to pay different mouths, right? It was becoming a very popular business model for companies to launch review sites and then get a bunch of reviews in there, and then you can pay to play if you want to manage your reviews, make them look more positive. If you didn't pay to play, you had really bad looking results, right? Or unmanaged results, I should say. So the builders were uncomfortable with that. They didn't like what they were seeing, and they didn't like all these other companies that wanted to help them, but charge them to do that. And they could just see, wow, we're going to have a whole new budget, whole new line item in our budget that we're going to have to monitor and pay. So the industry said, enough. and this is actually a great movie if you're looking for like an old movie, if you've run through all your Netflix series and movies that you want to watch. Great Jennifer Lopez movie. She's super buff and she's super tough. But anyway, the industry took a similar approach and just said, enough. We've got to get ahead of the speeding freight train. Our brand reputation is horrible no matter who we are. We're all in the same boat. And we have these companies coming into the market that want to charge us. So they said enough, and they took control of their destiny. So why did they come together to create TrustBuilder, right? There were services that were already available, but kind of problematic. As I mentioned, pay to play, expensive, and not really trusted by consumers. Consumers are not stupid. They understand when there are pay to play models out there that they're not really real, right? And they want to hear real reviews from real customers that have not been manipulated. There were unsolicited, unverified reviews. So you can have fake reviews out there. You can have, that one unhappy customer who posts, horrible reviews everywhere and it looks like a ton of people. You can have unverified reviews. You may have a disgruntled former employee who's trying to hurt you. You could have a competitor. You can have somebody who got confused on which builder they were actually working with. That can happen. So just really unsolicited, unverified, but consumers may not know the difference. And then just unmanaged services, unable to respond to some of these. You're not notified of negative reviews. So it's kind of happening out there and you have no visibility to it. And then just smaller services that are not really of the industry and don't really have that industry authority and the ranking in the search engines to really make a difference, right? You can go ahead and do a lot of reviews, but if they don't show up anywhere, it's kind of challenging, right? So the goal is to push the bad reviews into relevant. So this lovely chart that I showed you, the goal is you can't really make all those things go away. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you have reviews on New Home Source through TrustBuilder, they're on the TrustBuilder website, you can put them on your own website. So those things will push all of these negative rankings down. And then the first thing that consumers see organically, and they do tend to click on those top places that come up organically, and they'll see positive reviews and they'll see the number of reviews compared to maybe that Yelp review site that has like 2 or 3 or 1 negative one, right? We've pushed it down. So that was really kind of the goal. And the good news, it's really working. It's really helping. So I think I have a slide later on that. So one thing I want to address is, why is it free? Because what's interesting is you would think people would love free, but sometimes people equate free with not that good, right? Or, oh, I should pay for the other service because it's paid, it must be better. That's not why it's free, because it's not inexpensive. Let me tell you, I see the budget and our P&L. So it's not free because it was cheap or easy to build. It took 3 years to really define, work out the kinks, build the infrastructure, do some tests, and thank you so much to those brave builders who went on this journey with us, right, to help make sure that we got it right, because it's important, right? It's public. You can't be messing around with people's reviews. It's free because it's viewed as vital for our industry. And the builder board CEOs, and this is kind of, I love a lot of the things that we do for the industry, but this one really speaks to me because it's so hugely impactful and it was hard, right? It wasn't easy to pull together. But the builder board CEOs felt this was an investment to be made by the industry, for the industry, and for all builders. And they didn't want to have price as a barrier to participation. They wanted everybody to be able to participate. And lastly, they wanted to make sure it was pure, right? If everybody's going to participate in this, everybody has to have trust that all builders are participating equally and playing by the same rules. So there's a lot built into the program to ensure that nobody's gaming the system, nobody's cheating, not that builders would cheat, but we are competitive. So they felt like it was really important that the industry own this, take control of our destiny, and that there's not a charge for it. So it is just built into the price of your listings. So let's talk about kind of TrustBuilder and how it checks the boxes, right? So number one, it's the industry authority. We rank number one on Google for home builder reviews. This is 33% of our communities have reviews. I will tell you, we are in the process of collecting up to 50%. So there is a program, and I'll talk about the timing of the program. So we have so many builders in the program that are in the process of collecting reviews, but have not published yet. So when we get those all through that process, it'll be about 50%. It is part of newhomesource.com, and obviously we are the number one place, as we talked about earlier, for people who are searching new homes. Every review is verified. So we don't take reviews from third parties. We don't allow fake reviews. We only publish reviews of those consumers, those buyers that you gave to us to go solicit a review. That's the only review that will show up. And we do solicit from all buyers, right? So you can't just send us your happy buyers, right? And we'll actually audit that to make sure that builders are complying with that. So again, we want this to be fair and even across the industry, in support of what the consumers expect, the promise to consumers, as well as builders as they all work in the program together. It supports builder responses. So you have the opportunity to respond to any review that you want to. Studies show that negative reviews with good responses can drive purchase intent higher than positive reviews, which is kind of mind-boggling, but we've learned that over the years. I didn't quite believe it when we stepped into the whole reviews world, but it really is true. They're managed reviews, right? So we proctor it, we make sure that the language is appropriate, the personal names are not called out, you know, there's all those kinds of things. So it's definitely managed from that perspective. And again, it's free and open to all builders. So those are kind of all of the kind of critical checkpoints as you're looking at how am I going to go forward in a review program. Super important to consider that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, you know, just some of the benefits of ratings and reviews. And, you know, it's kind of self-evident, but it really impacts the customer experience. It impacts your ability to manage your reputation and customer engagement. And that's super critical in today's environment. But it also can help you with traffic and conversion, right? So it can help you draw more users, right? Because of the great search engine results. And then it also can highly help with conversion because consumers are looking at those reviews or potential, you know, buyers, and it helps them trust, and it helps them, one, just cross over that barrier of anonymity and make connection with you, but then they're just much more likely to trust you and go more smoothly through that sales process. So definitely helps you with conversion as well. So who is using it today? So when I did a similar webinar last, I think it was in October in the fall, we had about a third of our communities published. As I mentioned earlier, about half of New Home Source communities are either published with TrustBuilder reviews or they're in the process of collecting. So we do go through a process with you as a builder before we launch you, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So 50% of the communities, and I can tell you those communities perform better, right? It just makes sense, right? So if I go to a KB home and I'm looking at that home and I can see the reviews, obviously I'm much more likely to click through, I'm much more likely to dwell on the KB brand, and I'm much more likely to generate a lead. So it's becoming to the point where you really should take advantage of this. And again, we don't charge for it, so there's no cost barrier to you being able to participate. So when you think about reviews, you know, the results that our builders are seeing, the average rating across all builders is 4.4. All builders that have participated thus far have seen an increase in their online review rating. So go back to that ugly slide with all the red on it, right? And how bad their reviews were. They're seeing a huge uplift in terms of their overall rating that consumers see. And they're seeing their ratings on the first page and often in the first position on Google search. So those are some great results. And when you look at just again, that dwell time, page views have tripled in the past 6 months for TrustBuilders. Our share of voice in Google has certainly taken over as the #1 spot. So we've tried to make it really easy for you to jump into the program and benefit kind of from the collective industry. So you too will see these great results. All right. And then the other thing that I think is super powerful, we've had builders really go crazy with their reviews. And here's an example of KB. You can take these reviews and publish them on your own website. And this is just amazing content. I mean, it's great to do testimonials, and we all do testimonials. We do testimonials too. But let's face it, we don't typically put testimonials up of our most disgruntled customers. Like, that's just not how the game is played. And consumers know that, right? So they enjoy the testimonials, but it doesn't have the same uplift and trust. It doesn't do the same for your brand and for your business as true reviews from previous home buyers. And KB has done an amazing job. They promote this in their sales process. They talk about it in their sales process. They say, don't trust me, go look at our reviews. Go look at our reviews of other KB home buyers. And they're not all positive, right? None of us have all positives. But again, what's really important is how you respond to those reviews. Companies know, or consumers, and we're all consumers, we know that companies are going to mess up. And especially when we buy a new house or even a used house, we know there's going to be issues. It's a very complex system. It's a complex process, and things happen, right? All kinds of things happen. We don't necessarily care about that. We anticipate that. But how you respond is so important. And again, according to Bazaar Voice, a negative review with a positive comment is better than a positive review, because what they want to know is, are you going to have my back, right? So KB has done a good job. Several of our other builders have done an amazing job of not just participating in the reviews and let them publish on New Home Source, but pulling them back into their entire customer engagement process. So super proud of what they have done. All right, so I am going to proactively hit those burning questions. I know you have them, and it's a true test for me if I can get them all. It's almost like I failed if we get to the end, you have a question I didn't answer. So truly do try to stump the chump. That's super fun to make me feel bad about myself. But we're going to try to preemptively hit some of those questions that we know that somebody out there has. So you might say, and I have heard this, but I don't want to participate in online reviews. Well, here's the reality is you already are. You are participating in reviews. So there are reviews about each and every one of you out there. And as we showed earlier, they're probably not the positive ones, right? Let's face it, it's the disgruntled ones that will take the time to go find a place to voice their opinion, and they want to get back at you, and they want to hurt you, right? So their intentions aren't so great. But you're already in the review world. And just because you may not go look at them, or you choose to ignore them, or you look at them and go, well, we know who that customer was. That's not true. Okay, they were crazy. And we all know we have crazy customers, right? You have those crazies. The problem is the next home shopper who's looking at your brand doesn't know that person was a crazy, right? And they don't know the full story. And you may know the full story, but the next home buyer doesn't know it. And people really rely on reviews. So you are participating in the review game. You just may be a very passive participant and not even really showing up to the plate, and you're kind of getting victimized. So you are participating. You really don't have a choice. And I tried to hide the name of this builder. Hopefully I did that really well. And even if I didn't quite hide the builder completely, everybody has this stuff, right? So I just incognito searched this builder. The first thing up is 37 reviews and complaints at pissconsumer.com. Number 2, it's a 2-star rating, blah, blah, blah. Number 3 was horrible. It's these pictures of this kid who's struggling with breathing problems. And I mean, it was just really, really scary, and a 1-star review on Yelp. So that's what came up first. And this is an amazing builder. I know them, and I know them well, and they're an amazing builder. But they hadn't really been managing their reviews. They are participating in TrustBuilder now, so good news for them. But this is the kind of stuff that's just out there, you know, and we're all struggling with. So what's even more important, you know, because sometimes I'll talk to big regional players who have a great brand in their market, right? They're just killing it. They're the #1 new home brand in their market. The challenge is, especially in today's environment, a lot of your buyers are remote. And keep in mind, 40% of millennials will make an offer online without even coming to see you. They may not even come into the market. So they don't have benefit of knowing that you are this entrenched brand who just kills it and everybody loves in this specific market. You look like just every other builder online, and you have got to show up. So they don't know how good you are. But if they're seeing this kind of stuff, they may not even come see you, right? They may just discount you. So you want to be really, really aware of how much your online brand and presence really matters. But what if I don't get 5 stars? Oh my gosh, that's kind of the biggest fear. It's like, what if I don't get an A? What if I get an A+? Well, guess what? You're not going to get a 5-star, and you actually don't want a 5-star. We don't have anybody with a 5-star, and it would be really scary if we did. So I love this little chart, and it walks through what consumers think of you depending on kind of your star rating, right? This is just generic. This is not unique to TrustBuilder or to the building industry, right? So if you have a 5-star, it actually is in the zone of unbelievability, because consumers go, this must be one of those review sites that you can manipulate. You're only showing me the positives. You're only showing me the 5 stars, right? They kind of don't believe it. In that range of 4 to about, I think it's about 4.8 or so, that's great, right? It's really awesome. And even anything like kind of at that 3 mark, it's the sweet spot. And I will tell you, all of our trust builders thus far are in that sweet spot. We have not had a builder yet who is below that 3 rating. And if for some reason you fell below that, and again, and it's part of our process, we collect a good percentage of reviews because we don't want it to be skewed by too few reviews before we publish. If for some reason we found that, we would talk to you, and you might decide, maybe reviews is not my challenge. Maybe I've got some other challenges, right, that I need to go fix in my business. But again, we haven't even encountered that, but we have built that into the process. But then when you look at kind of what happens and what works, and you move down there, even kind of in that blue zone of that kind of neutral score, it's better to have that to not have reviews, because not having any customer reviews or having one in the red, right, which is not great, that can hurt you. So you want to be out there. You want to have reviews. And obviously you want to have it as green as you can without getting into that unbelievable zone. But ratings that result in a positive impact in sales, but not too high as to seem fake. And again, all TrustBuilder participants are in the green zone. So we're good. We know this industry, right? We know as home builders, you guys build amazing products and you have really happy customers, but you do have a very complex product. So you are going to have the occasional hiccup, and all customers want to see is that you were on it, you cared, and you took care of it. Your response is not for that customer who filled out the review. Your response is for your future customers. Oh, what if you have a bad review? Well, guess what? You have them today, right? You have bad reviews today. You don't even know if they're real, but you will get a bad review. Again, future buyers are looking for how you respond. Are you genuine? Do you care? Are you on it? That's really all they want to see. Now, can we make all that bad stuff go away? We've actually been asked that multiple times. I would love to, but as we know, the internet has the memory of an elephant, and we're just not that good. We can't do it. But again, we can help you push that down, and consumers will go to those top organic results. So we can really help you push that down, and we're accomplishing that. That was one of the key goals of the program. All right, so why don't I just use Google reviews? You know, what's challenging, I think, about Google reviews is that Google doesn't check to see if they're real customers. So you don't know if they're real buyers, if it's really a real review, or it's just somebody random or somebody out to do you ill will. So there's a lot of reasons why, and I'm not saying Google reviews are bad, but I'm saying it doesn't actually solve your problem the way that you might want to solve your problem. So lots of reasons why you might want to do that. In fact, I had a builder the other day say, well, I'm going to do TrustBuilder, but should I do Google reviews as well? And should Facebook reviews? You probably have to watch because they could pop up even if you don't recommend it. I would probably say I wouldn't recommend sending your customers to Facebook and Google for reviews if you're in TrustBuilder, because you want to snag them through TrustBuilder, right? Because you want to make sure they're verified, they're real buyers, you can manage them there, you can respond to them there, and you're building your review population in TrustBuilder because they're probably not going to do more than one. So most builders who are doing TrustBuilder, it doesn't make sense to go that other route. But what if I already do CSAT surveys? And most of you do. Short answer, no problem. You can continue to do your CSAT surveys. I will tell you, CSAT surveys and reviews are not the same, and customers know that. They know if they're filling out a customer SAT survey, that's something that you're going to see, that the builder is going to see. Customers are very clear when they're presented with a TrustBuilder review that they are doing this for future buyers, that this will be shared publicly. So they actually respond a little bit differently. So you can't confuse the two, and you can't interchange them and use them, as the same thing.
Hey, Melissa, we have a quick question that came in. Someone's asking, can you start with one area of the country and see how it goes?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That is just fine. What we ask is that you not start with like one community in one market, because it's really kind of the market response. But absolutely, we've had some of our national builders start with one market just to get comfortable and go from there. Most builders just start all over the country and in all markets, but you certainly can do that.
And then we had one other question too. What if they already use a different ratings and reviews program that's out there?
So I would say, and I'm trying to be diplomatic because I'm sitting here in the halls of BDX. But I would say there is no other review program that gets the results that we do. It's the only program that truly can say, we know these are all verified, we treat all builders the same, nobody can game the system, and we know we're getting the #1 ranking. So in search, that's what people are seeing. So, I think it's built and designed by the industry, and it's really working truly effectively. Most of the other solutions out there, you have to pay for as well. So, I think it's certainly performing much better, and it's included in your price of listing. So that would be my response on that one. Save some money and get some reviews that really work for you.
Thanks. That's all the questions for now, but guys, keep them coming.
Yeah, I love that. So again, CSAT surveys are not the same as customer reviews, and customers know that when they're filling it out, and customers want to see those reviews from other customers. So you do it kind of for different purposes. CSAT survey is an internal tool. I will tell you, and I'm not saying go out and do this, but I have had a few of the national builders who, now that they have stepped into TrustBuilder, they use that as their metric for customer sat. So they don't feel the need to continue with CSAT surveys, just because this is straight from the horse's mouth. They know every buyer is being surveyed. They know every survey is served up exactly the same way, and it's reviews that customers are comfortable sharing publicly. So they actually feel like it's a better metric for them when they measure themselves on customer sat for bonuses or for whatever other reason they might measure that. So again, not everybody's doing that, but it is an opportunity to think about, especially as we are always scrutinizing our budgets. All right, so I have testimonials on my site. Isn't that enough? And you absolutely should have testimonials on your site, and they should be video testimonials, and they're great. But don't be deceived. Customers know the difference between testimonials and real reviews from real customers. So you can't really substitute. It's an additive, right? Certainly have those testimonials, but we all know we don't put our most angry customers out in our testimonials. That's not the testimonial we want. So customers know that. So you can't really substitute them. All right. So can I pull out known unhappy buyers from being sent a review request? No, you cannot. And we actually monitor that very closely. And our builders are always very trustworthy. So we haven't had anybody even try this. But, you know, obviously the program would fall apart pretty quickly if you could pull out your unhappy buyers, right? And because we need to survey everybody, that's how it works. And you want, again, you want everybody in that so that it's a true measure, and that you can't have all 5 stars. You don't want all 5 stars. That's actually not good from a consumer perspective. Getting a bad review with a good response is better than no reviews. I think I've said that 10 times now. And of course, if we allowed builders to do that, then the purity would fall apart, and it wouldn't be equity, it wouldn't be fair, and consumers would not trust it.
We've had a couple more questions come in, if now's a good time to.
Sure.
What if we've already had some crazy Google reviews? Do you recommend just turning off Google reviews? It's so hard to manage. And won't that anger the reviewer that has made a career out of posting multiple unsubstantiated reviews? Is it easy to just hide or turn off Google reviews?
Again, I would jump on the strategy that we've embarked upon, is that you flood them with really accurate reviews, right? And what you saw with the builders that we've launched, they have so many more reviews through TrustBuilder, and between putting them on New Home Source with its SEO authority and its ranking in the search engines, and putting it on your website, it's on the TrustBuilder website, it pushes down the yucky stuff, right? So I would kind of play that way. I would play offense from that standpoint, and consumers will gravitate to those sites that rank higher.
And then we have another question. This person uses a different third-party review platform and says, we use another third party and they feed to our website. Can they be integrated?
Mm-hmm. Can we take the other third parties reviews?
Yeah, I think maybe it's a 2-part question answer. I think that's their question, but then also maybe just hit on the fact that we can also feed to their website, right?
Yeah, so the easy one is absolutely we encourage builders to take the TrustBuilder reviews and put them on your website. So they're your reviews, and you should have every right to put them on your website. So that's the easy one. The other one is, the answer actually is no. And I will say that we had a lot of discussion and debate, as you might imagine, getting builders together initially to do this. But the challenge is, if we take reviews from another third party or ones that you've collected yourself, we can't actually verify. We can no longer promise to the consumer and to other builders that the process is pure. It's only real home buyers who have purchased it, and we can't fulfill our promise. So we actually don't take any third-party reviews, and it's consistent across builders. So it's not, we take it from this source and not this source. We're just very pure across the board. But the good news is it doesn't take very long as you start the new process. It doesn't take very long to get some great reviews and get up and running.
One more question here. Are you referring to copying and pasting the reviews into our testimonial section, or is it more of a live feed that's coded from the website coming from TrustBuilder?
It would be the latter. So it's constantly streaming over, constantly live, constantly updating, and very easy to implement. So that's the other really good part. You don't have to pay huge development fees to get these reviews to show up on your website.
Yeah, and I'll say that our team's done a great job of putting together a whole marketing kit. I think you're going to touch on it later, whole marketing kit with all the different ways you can kind of leverage your TrustBuilder ratings and reviews across your marketing, including feeding to your website in that seamless way. So,
Absolutely.
all right, I think that's all the questions for now. I'll let you keep going.
Okay, all right, I love it when your face pops up. It's great. All right, so we are so swamped. What do we have to do? And I can tell you, I haven't talked to any builder who goes, nothing going on here. We got plenty of time. Everybody is super swamped. You're always swamped, but you're really swamped. It is really easy to get up and running. We just need your data, and we've got a schema for that. You can do it in Excel spreadsheet. You can do it via the API that we've built. It's really pretty easy to get up and running. So that's really kind of the one thing that you have to do. And I'll tell you, we met with the builder CEO, and he was kind of like, TrustBuilder, what's that? At the beginning of the meeting, you know how CEOs are. Within 45 minutes, he was like, oh my God, we've got to do this, because we looked at his reviews today, and we took them from that meeting to, we're interested, to live in just a few weeks. So it did not kill anybody. It did not add to anybody's burden. So it's pretty easy to get up and running. And how can I leverage reviews for more exposure? So we talked about this earlier, and that kind of came up in your question that you had, Eleanor. We have a whole marketing kit that you can use, sample flyers and emails you can give to customers, at closing, just to let them know this is coming. Signage you can use in your sales center, model homes, design centers, digital graphics you can leverage, obviously syndication to your own website. And then just a best practices guide for responding to reviews, right? So you're not going to respond to everyone. In fact, that's kind of crazy. But when you get a negative one, we've got some suggested language to use and best practices to use. And in fact, our services team, if you really want to have them manage, they manage for builders as well. It's not a lot of effort, but something to consider. But we really try to make this super easy. Send in your data. We'll work with you to get you live. We check in with you before you go live, so you're ready. And then you just kind of sit back and let us do the work for you. So it's pretty simple. So now that you're ready to go, how assumptive of me. Again, this is just kind of the process that we go through in terms of collecting reviews. So the builder, you share your buyer contact and your home data. Again, we talked about there's easy ways to do this. We send the emails to home buyers. The home buyer submits a review. We check, and we do that via AI as well as human checking, just to make sure that there's no inappropriate content in there. The reviewer receives an email thanking them, or if there's something inappropriate, we will give them one more chance to modify, so they can remove a name. We will not modify the review, but if they put someone's name in there or some explicatives, we really haven't had too much of that. We'll give them another shot. We notify you of all new reviews, so you can see kind of what's coming in, and you can respond to any that you might respond to a really glowing positive one, going, we're so delighted. That's what we strive for. Thank you for sharing that, right? But you wouldn't do that to everyone. And then obviously if you got somebody who's a little less happy, you want to respond to those. And then we just publish them on New Home Source. So you don't have to worry about any of those pieces. So it's really easy to get up and running and get going. So if you had this on your to-do list last year and you slipped into the holidays and you lost sleep all, through the holidays because this is nagging on your to-do list and your boss is going to come after you or whatever, we can take care of you. We can get you up pretty fast. And all right, so now we can play Stump the Chump if we want.
Awesome. Well, we do have a question that's come in. Asking how much effort does it take on the customer's part to complete the TrustBuilder survey? How long does it take? How many questions? How are they contacted? You may not have all the specifics. I realize, like you said, Stump the Chump. So we're really going to try here.
Yeah.
Maybe just, a little overview of how that works for the.
Yeah, it literally takes a few minutes. And we can do the review one of two ways. And this is the one choice that builders have. We can do kind of generic, it almost looks like a net promoter question, if you will. We can do kind of this generic question, or you can have 5 diagnostic questions. We recommend you do the 5 diagnostic questions because what we find is in the diagnostic, and I don't know what these are, so you've stumped me, but they're things like, how was the process? How happy with your, were you happy with your home? So it's kind of 5 different facets of how you would rate a builder. What we find is if consumers have an issue, they have an issue with 1 of 5. And if you give them the opportunity to rate each one of those 5 independently, they'll ding you on the one, but they won't pull down the scores on the other. So your overall score tends to be better from that home buyer. So we strongly encourage that. And it just gives you more insight that if they weren't happy, where were they not? What was the specific area?
Awesome. Well, I think the format of this webinar, weaving the questions throughout, you did a great job of answering everyone's questions. And I don't see any others here. I want to point out that folks have, if you think of something after the webinar, there's a lot of great resources at BDX that can help you. And every time I say that there are no more questions, there is another question. It's just a law of webinars. So one more question. Did you quickly mention that you shouldn't respond to all reviews? Is it better to leave the neutral and positive ones alone?
Yeah, if you respond to every review, it gets a little fatiguing, right, for consumers, right? And it looks a little, I don't know, a little contrived. And I'm sure in our guide, we tell you like what percentage is the optimal number, but I don't know what that is. You definitely want to respond to any that are negative, right? Those are kind of obvious, but you don't get very many of those. And then the positive ones, occasionally you should weigh in just so that, you can kind of, again, that's your voice coming through, but you don't want to respond to everyone. And who has the time for that anyway? And
Awesome.
You shouldn't.
So we've had someone ask, how will we receive the guide? And I'm assuming you're talking about the marketing guide that Melissa mentioned. And once you're part of the TrustBuilder program, your account manager walks you through every step of the process, including making sure you have that guide. So Catherine, reach out to your account manager. And if you're not sure who that is, you can always just email support@thebdx.com and someone will make sure you're taken care of. So I think that's all the questions.
I know, and Shalissa did not come by and Zoom bomb us. I'm kind of disappointed. She must not be listening.
There you go. Yes,
Yeah.
and this Catherine's chiming in that her account manager is wonderful. So
Oh, that is so nice. Oh wait, look,
there she is.
There she comes. She's like Zoom bombing us. Hi, Shalissa.
Her name.
6 foot distance.
Okay, yes.
Saying hello.
I know.
It was a great webinar. Good job.
Oh.
Can't wait to get all our builders going. So
Okay. All right, she really wasn't listening. Someone texted her. Oh my gosh.
You better go make an appearance so Melissa thinks you're watching her webinar. Well, thank you so much, Melissa. As we mentioned at the beginning, we've recorded this session. We'll provide that recording to you, and you can always email us at our support@thebdx.com, and we'll get you going with TrustBuilder, get you all the follow-up information you need. So super excited to see so many builders on here today, getting ready to join all the builders that are already part of the program. So thanks, Melissa.
Thank you. Thanks, Eleanor. Thanks for coming home. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.